Howdy, how's it going? My name's Davvy Chappy, and I just finished watching the Suicide Squad movie, and as I expected, it was really fucking good. As soon as I heard that James Gunn was going to be directing it, I had no doubts in my mind that it was going to be fantastic, but the amount of fantastic it was is insane. Just to get it out there, I personally think that people who say, oh, DC needs to be dark, are kind of missing the point, because a Superman movie should not be dark. A Batman movie should be dark in morality and tone, but not in gruesome back alley violence. Those are stories that breathe a very specific air. But Suicide Squad, you can have somebody's face getting blown off all you want, because this is a hard R explosive series. And more to the point, it's not even dark, quote unquote, it's a dark comedy. The tone is not somber. The tone is everything's shit and everybody's dying and there's hyper violence everywhere, and that's great. As far as acting goes, Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, and Captain Boomerang all returned from the previous movie, which, by the way, the previous movie basically doesn't matter for this. James Gunn had the right idea to distance his movie from the one from 2016, so while technically nothing was retconned, it also doesn't have any carryover outside of the fact that Harley, Captain Boomerang, and Rick Flag know each other, which you will understand by context clues anyway. So you can go into this movie having never watched the 2016 movie, and you will be better for it. But as I was saying, acting-wise, everybody did a phenomenal job. I never thought that I would give a shit about Polka Dot Man, but they managed to get me to give a shit about Polka Dot Man. And I think that this is the first movie with Harley Quinn in it where I actually enjoyed her character. Her role in Birds of Prey was fine, but I think that she was a little over the top, and her role in Suicide Squad was as a stripper, and I'm gay, so. That said, out of all of them, John Cena, I think, did the best. His role as Peacemaker, a character that was ultimately irrelevant to the comics, and I didn't even know that the character existed, was so complex, and Cena was able to emote so much with just his body language. And whereas 2016 tried to shoehorn in the idea of family, the Suicide Squad actually made me feel like the people cared about each other, at least just a little bit. I will say that in a race to have a more comedic tone, all of the Amanda Waller bits with her goofing off staff, that kinda took me out of it, because the Suicide Squad, they can be jokey and dumb all they want. Their lives are on the line and they know they could die at any moment, so why not just shoot the shit? The staff of Amanda Waller, though, should probably be a little bit more serious than they were. And even though they juxtaposed it with Amanda Waller thinking she was surrounded by idiots, she always thinks she's surrounded by idiots. I'll also say that Peter Capaldi as the Thinker, while the acting was fine, the character didn't actually do anything. At no point did I ever think that the guy was a super genius outside of the fact that he had magnets on his brain. I think that the sound design was great, I think that the choreography was great, the visual effects that they do, while minimal, are all really good. There was a particular scene with Harley Quinn that I enjoyed a lot, and you'll know it when you see it. It's really interesting how the world just seems to be self-aware of its own absurdity and willing to go along with it. Overall, DC has had a serious hit-or-miss streak. A lot of the reason why this movie worked is because it understood what made the comic popular. I also really love that they're prioritizing standalone movies that encapsulate certain comic books, as opposed to creating a huge cinematic universe. But I highly recommend that you go watch The Suicide Squad. You can see it either in movie theaters, or you can just straight up stream it on HBO Max. I'm giving The Suicide Squad my most prestigious 4 out of 10. But yeah, Davvy out.